Hi, how are you? Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for. First of all, I want to thanks Miss Cristo Driscoll. Sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name. And the Hudgens for this opportunity. My name again is Carlos Solis. I'm from Venezuela. I have been here in this country for more than 30 years. I used to live in Chicago, where I got my degree in graphic design and illustration, where I always feel connected to the arts. I actually wanted to become a full-time artist, but you know how it is. When once you said you want to be an artist, what is it that the family said?
No drugs, no something like that.
So when I saw my opportunities in Chicago, I was like struggling. Do I want to take art classes, have a degree, or something else? So I decided to go with the graphic design, illustration. But then I was like, after I got my degree, I was like, no, that is me. That's part of my DNA, why I wanted to deny that part. So I made that decision to become a full-time artist almost 20 years ago. Now, that was in Chicago. Once I moved here, it was something else. I didn't know the place. I know there was a lot of art going around. But one of the things that I noticed back then is the lack of Latin American art and Latin American artists in Atlanta. That really was it was like a switch, like, well, why? Why, when I asked questions about famous Latin American artists, nobody knew anything. So there was an issue here that was like, well, what is it that I, Carlos Solis, can do to make the difference? And so I start playing with these ideas of maybe if I create a collective, we can, start something. But it was a little bit, it was a challenge in the beginning because I didn't know anybody. There were few artists here and there from Latin America. So I started looking online from artists that live here and start finding ones that lives in Athens. And there was another living in Atlanta. But that was it, very, very, very few. And you have to take in consideration that artists are basically loners. They don't want to share space and with other artists. They don't know how to work in groups. So I was very clear about that when I approached them at Pedro. I met Pedro in 2008, 2009 in a show. He wasn't part of the exhibit, but he was there. And when I saw his work, I was like, well, I know this art because I saw his work in other gallery. And I was like very excited to see his work. So I approached him and I pitched the idea to him. He was like, yeah, I'm on board. I would love to join the group. And then I met Dora, his wife, and I asked her, and then Jorgito, Catalina, and then Melvin is the latest acquisition of the I met him the Mocha. I saw his work there, and I knew right away that guy belongs to Contrapunto. So this group have been together for so many years now. It's like a family, we're brothers and sisters. We don't see boundaries and borders. It's just us people, artists, that we share a lot of things in common. And that's the thing they really felt that we need to address, because once you move to this country, you have one nationality, and you all eat the same thing, and then the stereotypes are gone. I was like, no, Latino is something more complex. But I don't blame the people. I blame the educational system the media, the way we are portrayed. If you look at the media, we all look the same way, we all speak the same way, we eat the same thing, and you're like, no, through the arts, we can change that. Once you get to know the artists and you see their ethnicity, their background, their history, then you realize that we are very unique. Latinos are not a race. We are an ethnic group. People don't understand that. It's something if they see a black Latino or a white Latino, they start questioning what is a Latino. For them, a Latino is someone that's short, dark skin, and no. I'm from Venezuela. Venezuela is a multi-ethnic culture. So I have family that looks like you, and I have family that looks like the gentleman sitting over there. I mean, it's like that. It's part of DNA. There's no, why are you? You don't ask those questions in Latin America. Here is a little bit more complex. So through this, plus what we offer as artists, we want to create those bridges and break those stereotypes. In the beginning, it was a little bit difficult because people don't know how to handle a group. And the main issue now with museums and art centers is that in the past, when you submitted your work, museums in those times, they focus on the quality of the work. Now it's not like that. Now it's more like a message. So when you talk about the African diaspora or African American diaspora, there is a specific message. But when Latinos come, what is the message that we want to convey? So many of the museums focus more about immigration and the same thing. So we're not going to do that. This is a very unique group with a different message about unity, about diversity, about communication and connection. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing with this. I'm really proud about it with these guys, about this group and how the people are responding with this. And it's getting better and better and better. The Hudgens, again, hopefully we can start a good working relationship with the Hudgens, because the fact is that we are the biggest minority in this country, and we cannot ignore that. Why Atlanta is still focusing in black and white when it's something in the middle? And we are right here. Everything else is up there. So we have to keep escalating and going up, and it's going to take time. But with your support, with the Latino support, we can do it. Because people cannot see it as, like I mentioned before, as a monolith. We have to see it as people from different backgrounds. So, as I said before, we are 6, and I want to introduce them. I want to start with Jorge Arcos from Mexico. His work are those paintings here back, those 3. Catalina from Colombia, her paintings are where you see Frida and the other 2 paintings right next to it. Pedro Fuertes from Peru, his work is right here. Dora Lopez, you have 2 of her paintings there, and that one over there. And Melvin, of course. That portrait over there, and the 2 paintings in the back. You can see we are very different. We have different techniques and styles, which make these groups even better. So I'm going to start with Jorge. He's going to talk about his work, and well, let's start with Pedro then. Let's start with Pedro. Melvin is going to translate, help Pedro with that. Pedro, go ahead.
Yo soy de Perú, vivo aquí como 18 años. ¿Quiere que le acerque un poco esto? Vivo aquí como 18 años, estudié pintura en Perú 6 años, desde el año 85 que egresé. Representé a mi país en 19 países entre Europa y Centroamérica, haciendo exposiciones, hasta el año 2004 que vine a Estados Unidos.
His name is Pedro. Pedro, he is from Peru. I'm not very good doing this, so. And he's been living in the United States for 18 years.
He represents.
Estudié 6 años en
He studied in the University of Fine Art in Peru for 6 years.
Y viajé a 19 países representando a Perú.
And traveled through many places in the world, 19 countries representing Peru.
En el 2004 vine aquí a Estados Unidos.
He moved to the United States in 2004.
Trabajé en la embajada 18 años.
Working in the embassy of Peru for 18 years until last year.
Todo el tiempo practicando español en vez de inglés, porque los peruanos hablan español.
So ese
es el problema.
He would just speak in Spanish to everybody there at the embassy.
Pero desde que llegué yo nunca he dejado de pintar. Ahora ya me retiré de la embajada y a tiempo completo sí estoy pintando ya, ¿no?
He's never stopped painting. Even when he was working at the embassy, he worked there until last year, and now he's dedicating himself to all his time to being an artist.
Bueno, yo tengo una pintura que ha pasado por muchas etapas, han ido cambiando desde la abstracción al surrealismo y del surrealismo a la abstracción otra vez, y después uní el surrealismo con la abstracción, que es lo que estoy pintando en este momento, ¿no?
I have a technique work that is gone from abstraction to surrealism, going back to abstraction, and then like a mix of that abstracted surrealism, which is what he calls his work now.
Y el concepto que tengo en mi pintura muchas veces es captada de las armonías y las vivencias que tiene uno en cada día, ¿no?
The concept I have about my work is about the life experiences that I've had.
Pienso que el 50% de la creación de mi obra lo pone el espectador, obviamente motivado por el concepto que estoy plasmando en la tela.
And I think that 50% of his work is brought by the viewer, parting from what he is portraying there.
Y bueno, en ese proceso de captar esas armonías, uno va haciendo su propia personalidad en la pintura, de tal manera que es la unión de la técnica, el color y el concepto que tiene, ¿no?
And through this work, finding this harmony, it goes through his technique, the concept, and the colors that he uses.
Y yo creo que siempre he tratado de que la gente me reconozca sin necesidad de ver mi firma.
And he's always tried that people recognize his work without having to see his signature.
Es parte de, creo que de todos los artistas, en la personalidad que tenemos en la pintura, de que la gente pueda ver una técnica que solamente sea del artista.
And that is kind of like what the artist tries to achieve, for the viewer to recognize his work for what it is, not for having his name there.
Para eso es muy importante hacer tus propios instrumentos que te vayan a servir para pintar, que eso diferencia de otros artistas.
And for that, it's very important to sometimes make your instrument, the tools that you use to create work, so that helps you to give that look that you're after, that is very, very yours, very unique.
Y la gama de colores, busco una escala propia de colores que no sean necesariamente los que se fabricaron en las tiendas, porque si no es los mismos colores que usan todos los pintores. Hay que conseguir sus propios colores, que es más trabajo, pero son tuyos.
And the colors that he uses is trying to, that the work doesn't just show the colors that you find at a store, art supply store, but bringing something that is very unique, very his. ¿Cómo consigues eso de que los colores que usas sean tuyos?
Ok, por ejemplo, un ejemplo.
I'm asking how he gets to have those colors that are.
Por ejemplo, en un rojo. El rojo, tal como viene en la fábrica, el chisguete, el óleo, todo el mundo lo usa. Pero yo fabrico un rojo diferente, entonces le voy a poner el ejemplo. Dile eso para que...
As an example, he's talking about red, the red that you will find at a store. But he does something else to it to create his own color.
Por ejemplo, yo quiero una capa de color rojo que sea mío, plasmo de color naranja primero, y encima pongo una veladura de color carmín de garanza o magenta, y sale un rojo diferente al de fábrica. Ese es mi rojo, y así uso en todos los colores.
We are taking note.
A little bit slow. So going back to the red example, he's not going to just get red and put it on the canvas. He applies first a layer of orange paint, and then he uses carmine
De garanza o magenta, que sí.
Yeah, like is that like magenta? And then so that it creates its own red, a red that comes from mixing those colors.
El carmín de garanza es el color que usan para las pinta uñas, para pintarse las uñas, es el rojo oscuro, ese rojo oscuro, ese es el carmín de garanza. O el que usan para los lápices labiales oscuros, rojo bien oscuro, ese es el carmín de garanza.
Yeah, I think we call that, or the artists here, the stores, the name is alizarin crimson. It's like a very dark red, cool red.
Y esa es una forma de cómo conseguir un color.
And
Ya
that's
para
one
los
way.
otros colores ya después conversamos.
And that is an example of how to find the one color. He's not going to tell us all his secrets because yes, Catalina is ready to steal the recipe.
Ok, si tienen preguntas, o pueden seguir con mi esposa que también pinta, o con Melina. No sé quién le va a hacer traductor.
How can I make the blue? Well, vamos a aquel lado, ¿no?
Okay, let's go back and forth.
A ese lado.
Ese lado.
Okay.
Okay. Mi nombre es Jorge Arcos. My name is Jorge Arcos. I'm from Mexico City. I came to the United States in 2019. No, 1999, I'm sorry. So I came with the idea to continue my process of art. I started to make art when I was 5, just drawing, watching my dad, because my dad was a painter too. So I think I started when I was 5, 6 years old. So, like any kid. So I started to make people, paint people, drawing people, houses, etc. In the school, I discovered that I was a little bit, I had the talent or the skill. So I continue working. So after that, I decided to study art in a school in Mexico City. I met many artists. So the love for the art started when I went to the museums in Mexico City. I had the opportunity to see the work of Rufino Tamayo. Probably many people know him. I saw the work of Remedios Varo from Spain. She's a surrealist artist. Also many more, Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo. So it was the good thing for me to continue working. So when I decided to come to United States, I had the idea to improve my art, but I wanted to do something different because I was painting old buildings, people, watercolor, different techniques. But I met people from Latin America, from Venezuela, from Peru, who introduced me in the abstract. So I met a person from Venezuela who introduced me in the abstract. He taught me some techniques how to develop the abstract. Then, 20 years ago, I started to paint abstract. I really love it. So I really had an evolution. So I started with some pictures of buildings and people, just looking under the picture, but not watching my hands, just looking only the image. So when you do that, the other side of your brain starts to work. You do your imagination. So your hand goes free and create. So that was my beginning. So now I had an evolution in this line. I met people like Pedro Fuertes in 2006 in an exhibition, also Dora. So it was a wonderful experience because I saw different techniques of abstract. So all these years has been a process for me. I met Carlos Solis in 2009 or 2010. He went to an art exhibition that I had in a bank. So we had a process, 2-3 years. Then he invited me to join Contrapunto. Later, I met more artists like Catalina and others that are not here. But I've been experiencing evolution in the group. It's like Carlos said, we are a family, like a family. We respect each other. We enjoy the process. We met any 1-2 months and enjoy the moment. And we are a family. And we are trying to give what we are to the public, that we are not only people who come to work, we are people who create, who can give a lot of us. In my case, I try to project my influence. In this case, my influence is my heritage. All the cultures from Mexico, like Aztecs, like Mayas. So I try to give all that colors from my culture. Like, for example, these colors are very similar to the artisans who make ceramics, etc. So I try to give that. in my paintings. So I have been working with different pieces right now that give it a story. I mean, for example, some of my paintings try to explain that process that the Aztecs did when they came to Mexico City. Now it's Mexico City. So Mexico comes from Mexica. The Mexicas were the Aztecs who came to Mexico. So they had a journey. They were traveling from the north to the south and found the place where they are going to build the city. So it's all that kind of things that I would like to express in my art. I try to do that. So enjoying my process every day when I paint. You know. You have any question about me, about my art? Or probably later. Yeah.
So for these paintings, do you also imagine something and you just draw it, or is it based on something, or is it completely abstract, or are we trying to find something inside of each of these paintings? Are we trying to define, like I see an arm over there, or a leg, or something that looks something like that?
Well,
Like a double image.
yeah, I start to paint, to make drawings first. So as you told you, I used to work with the image, some title, so some ideas, but now everything is here, so only the idea. So when the idea comes, I start to make some strokes. Then when I have everything there, I start to compress all the forms and start to apply some layers of paint. If you notice, I have many layers in the painting. So I scrape the paint, so the other color come out. So this is what I do. So that's a process that I have learned for myself through the years, you know. It's experimenting all the time, trying with different materials, different tools. So always I try to be happy when I paint, because if you are angry, you cannot paint. You must be happy every day, all the time. When I paint, I do that. So people say that when you see a painting, of any artist, you perceive that energy or feeling that the artist project, or that the artist put in the art, in the piece, when he in the process. So we perceive that, I think. So this is for that reason I try to be always happy and enjoying. I enjoy this.
He's a serious, happy person. Yes.
Well, I think it's what I must do.
I have courage now to say.
Huh?
I have courage now to talk.
Ah, you want to
Let
talk
me
now?
do it.
Want to talk?
Yes.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
She's very shy.
I am shy when I am in front of this. I'm Catalina Gomez from Colombia. I moved here in 2001. I came here for vacations, and I met my husband, so I'm still here in vacation. I wanted to be an artist, and when I finished my school, I said to my father, I want to be an artist. And he said, no, I don't want to drug addict people here at home. Yes, hippie. So I decided to do something different, and I finished fashion design. But I never pursued my dream. Until I came here, I was always painting by myself. But when I came here and I had kids and everything, one day a friend of mine said to me, why we don't take some classes? And I said, I don't have time for classes, I have 2 kids. And my husband said, this is the time for you. You have to pursue your dream. So he's, I will say, more than 50% of my career. He's a big support, and my whole family is a big support. I paint with, my kids are my inspiration and my models. And I try through my art to teach them. It started like that, mainly. When I paint for the first time here, I came with the skin in a gray color, and I decided to make that as a signature for my art. And the reason why is because since here is so relevant that I don't want people to get focused on that. I want people to get inside of the portrait that I'm painting and get into the feelings. I always work in more than one series at the same time because I think I have so many interests. So it depends of my, ¿cómo se dice esta? How I feel in a, yes, of my mood, what I wanted to say. So some days I am more happy, some other days I am more introspective. So I am always having at least 3 projects at home working. I have my studio at home. So while I paint, I cook, and I check on my kids if they are doing their homework and everything. I wanted to tell you that the most important thing that art has brought me to my life is the people. And it really is because every time that I have the opportunity to meet someone, it's a different experience. It's something very deep. And I want to tell you a story that happened a year ago when we went to exhibition for another friend, artist. And when we were out of the exhibition, we have the opportunity to meet a beautiful couple that now is a very good friend of the family. And it's very important for me that through art, I am able to make these connections. And that's it. I'm not very good talking.
Thank you. Thank you. Say the human connection is a good factor for our inspiration because that really creates the mood for us to create pieces like this. Of course, nature and other things could be an inspiration, but the energy, a positive energy is a good way to create what we create. And I also want to add about Jorge's work. He has been creating pieces where he is incorporating deities from his culture, which are very interesting. But the thing is, when he creates those pieces, he just sells them right away. I mean, they are so good, so colorful. He has been lucky enough to sell those pieces. But you have to pay attention to the new works that he's creating now because it's a little bit different than this. He maintained the same colors, vibrant colors, but there are other visual elements that are really part of the Mexican culture. Yeah, there is a story, you can see it there. It's less abstract, let's put it that way. Okay, so who's next? Oh.
I just wanted to ask Catalina a question. Because I see that she's drawn 3 women, right? So what other subjects do you paint, or do you
I work a lot
the human?
Yes, I work a lot with kids. Okay. You can tell whenever you see what I'm painting is that I'm in love with the kids and I'm my face of being a mom. So I work with kids and with women. Yes, I have a series that the name is Musas, and of course I have Frida, and I want to portray Frida in a more human way. So I wanted to show that she was weak too, but is strong to stand up. And this other lady here is Lita Cabellud. She's an artist, still alive, from Spain, and I love her work and the story that she has about her life. So this is dedicated for the Musas, and I have many other series that talks about hope, about reinvention and things like that.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Dora Lopez. I'm from Peru. I'm studying the School of Arts in Lima. And I live in Atlanta around 18 years. And I'm a member of Contrapunto for around 15.
Long time ago. Long
Yeah.
time. 2010, 2011.
Yeah. And that is my painting in this way. Basically, I start to paint the abstract, but always I use texture because I love texture. When I start to paint in the school at the end of the year, when we get graded, we start with human figure, with nudes, and you start to recreate and start to this compound the figure and create new ways to show it, to, ¿cómo se dice jurado? Juror. And, but after that, you start to create your own language in arts. When I get abstract, always I hide in some figure in that. It's like playing hide and seek. You can see an abstract, but inside you can see some arms or faces or some movement and show and suggest it's a figure inside. But around 3 years ago, that shapes, they start to showing more in evidence. And then I think it's my vision of my work, is my own experience in this world, but based in my own culture, the Incan culture. I love to visit all ancient places who inspire me. And that's why I use stones, fabrics, papers, maybe it depends what transmit for me the texture or the material I'm using. I start to drawing with charcoal, and then after that put the texture, and then with thin layers of acrylic and thin layers of oil at the end. But I love to work with oil and acrylic like a watercolor, because I feel you can feel the transparent, what is inside, what is the first layer you see, and then I left some areas with just pure drawing because I think it's the transparency. I feel I can transmit my soul, my feeling, and I just want to share feeling of love, of confidence, of serenity, and yeah, you can find in all my painting. My happiness, maybe because I love to be in contact with nature. I love different landscapes. I love plants. I love different stuff, and I'm trying to get introduced in my art. And I feel better with ochre or sepia colors. I think I feel better because that was my ancient Incas they used. When I get, I had an experience in an old ancient cemetery many years ago, and then I found a fabric, an Inca's fabric, and it was, ¿cómo se dice que se estaba deshaciendo? It's very decomposing for the time, and that inspired me to put in all my painting and all my canvas gauze or cheesecloth, like you see, all the fabric, because represent my roots, represent my story, represent my country, my culture. That what can I say?
Yeah.
If you had any question, just let me know.
Melvin, dale tú ahora y después le doy yo. Dale, okay. Thank you, Dora.
Hello again. Thanks again for being here because it's brutal out there, and I told them I won't be surprised if nobody comes. Really, thank you so much. So again, my name is Melvin Toledo. I'm from Nicaragua. I'm from a very small little town in the northern part of Nicaragua, close to the border with Honduras. And I became an artist just by the situation, the circumstances of my life. After I finished, or the last 2 years of high school, I started drawing a lot. Just figured out that I could draw and kind of became an obsession. And when I was done with high school, my parents couldn't send me to college. So one of my uncles who was living in Honduras and had a business where he will buy paintings very, very cheap, done with cheap materials, the stuff that you find at tourist market. He will buy those paintings, put a fancy golden frame, and I then travel around the country selling these paintings. And so after seeing that I was drawing so much, he recommended, why don't you just learn to paint, and then you can work with me. And that's what I did. It sounded like a good idea. So I learned to do those paintings that you see in tourist markets. I was painting still life and landscapes. But before going to learn that technique, to do those paintings, I went to the School of Fine Art in Honduras because it was closer to my hometown. And I was there taking classes like every Saturday, so I learned a little bit about drawing technique, and we studied a little bit about oil painting. And I really liked oil painting from the beginning because I'm not an artist that is just going to start doodling. I'm inspired by what I see. It's always been like that. Why, I don't know. It's just, and so when I was doing these paintings for my uncle, every once in a while I will do an oil painting just because I like what I could do with it. I always liked realism, and I was always after that. And the paintings that I did for my uncle, they were really done really quickly. I could paint 2 large canvases in a day. It was always still life most of the time. So then I came into the U.S. I met my wife in Nicaragua. She was a Peace Corps volunteer that came to work in my hometown, and so I moved here with her. And I started painting with oil, just oil painting when I got here. And I took a few classes here, trying to figure out how to do it. But my work has always been I'm inspired by what I see. So I was painting still life, and oftentimes it was fruit that were there in the house or flowers from the garden. And I did that until 2018, pretty much just painting still life and a little bit of landscapes. But 2018, I started painting portraits. I had done a few before that, but it was very, just maybe once a year I will paint a portrait just because I love doing that. And I painted a portrait of a self-portrait with the flag of Nicaragua wrapped around my shoulders. And that was inspired by what's happening in Nicaragua with political unrest and that kind of stuff. And I realized how powerful it was for the people of Nicaragua seeing that portrait. It's a portrait about showing pain about what was happening, and I think seeing the flag was very moving for people. And so after that, I started just painting portraits, and again, I painted my kids, my wife, that portrait over there. And again, just by my life, by experience, this is just, seeing her with the beauty routine, and I took a picture of her. Took me a while to do it. I think I had the picture there for like 4 years until when I found that I really wanted to paint portraits, and I did that one, and I had to ask permission first because I wasn't sure if she's gonna be okay shown that way. But I always like to paint something that feels like that if you see the painting, it's not like, is this from 100 years ago, or these are things that are from my life now, and like these paintings over here is the same thing, and represent what I've lived. The boy playing with we call it trompo. That's what I did when I was a child. We didn't have TVs. I think there was like 3 TVs in the town. And so we were just outside playing with marbles, with trompos, with anything you could think of. And I think those portraits, it's about that. I feel like, especially when you come here, you kind of forget about the life that you've left, or maybe not forget, but embrace the life here that is quite different. And so doing these paintings, it's about remembering things that are important to me, and that I think for people that are Latinos, or like people of color, I think it's also important to see themselves represented. And so this way, it feels like almost necessary, I think. And that's what I'm doing. I'm painting right now a series of portraits of immigrants, about people that live in the United States. Again, just depicting what is happening with my life at the moment. Thank you.
Well, now it's my turn. As you can see, I'm a very traditional surrealist artist. I'm not looking to create something new or something like out there. It's just very traditional from the old masters, because that's the way I dream. I don't use drugs. I don't drink. Just in case. They just start questioning why those paintings are so weird. No, nothing like that. It's just the way I am. That's what I see when I close my eyes. They're there. It's just there. It's a natural condition in my life. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a sci-fi fantasy illustrator, because these ideas, these visions came to me naturally. But I knew that this was me, be a full-time fine artist. I was aware that when I start painting surrealism, the people are going to see Dali everywhere, because that's what the people know. I mean, how can you compete with the icon? It's impossible, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to do, those are my dreams and nobody else. So, but basically that's my inspiration. I mean, now, you have to consider that sometimes with dreams, you have no control over what you see. It's just there. I usually have 2 types of dreams. Dreams that are like interactive, that you're sitting with people, see, you fly, you are naked, you whatever. Those are the common dreams. But sometimes in my dreams, I see images. It's like a book. That's what I see. It's just an image, static. It doesn't move, but it's there. And sometimes they are so vivid that I'm able to remember all the details, and I just, when I wake up, I go directly to the canvas and start painting. I don't even sketch. I just go to the canvas, start painting. Now, of course, once I start exploring surrealism, you have to learn a little bit more about where it came from, who were the founders, the Dada group, which was a famous group founded by Breton in the 1920s. So you can still understand the psychology behind all this. But sometimes you get the meaning of the paintings. You understand the symbolism of the painting, but sometimes you don't. But I still paint. I just allow, like Pedro mentioned, allows the audience to discover the message. Just a few minutes ago, before we had the art talk, there was a lady here. She was a psychologist, also an art student here, and she loves surrealism. And we were talking about a painting that is in the hallway, back in the hallway, and she saw things there that I didn't see, and they were very graphic. And when she pointed out the things that she saw, I was like, wow. I'm not going to say what she saw, but I was like, maybe there's something something wrong with me. But that's another topic. We can talk about that in private. But I found it very mysterious and interesting to know more about dreams. Actually, I was invited by a library to talk about surrealism. I wasn't expecting to see a lot of people, especially in the area where I live. I live in Cobb County in Kennesaw, and a lot of people came. They were into surrealism, where the movement, the style came from, and what it is about. Sometimes you get to meet people that challenge you and question what you do, and basically insult my work and call me diabolic, satanic, crazy, you name it. And then you start comparing you with other artists, and someone called me like Magritte, and I don't see Magritte there, but it is what it is. I mean, people try to place it. It's natural, it's normal, because it's not something that you see every day. Most of the time when you go to a gallery or museum, you see more abstract work and portraits, stuff like that. And when they see, especially here in Georgia, see surrealism, that creates a shock in the beginning, and they call it dark or heavy, But once you start explaining the symbols and the meaning behind the message of the painting, then you're like, oh, I get it now. It wasn't what I was thinking. It was something else. But yeah, that's what I do, and I'm not planning to change it. It's part of me. But I think it's very fascinating to explore what is right here. What is the part of your brain that is the part of your brain that is very active. I think it's fascinating. That's it. Before we enter to the questions, I want to let you know that if you want to follow us, we have a Instagram account. It's Contrapunto Art. Please check our page on Instagram. We're going to have several exhibits coming up. Contrapunto Art. And our website is contrapuntoart.com. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Don't be shy.
I'm not shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many artists do you have? Are you,
This is a very small group, yes.
Okay, so I thought you said there was somebody that wasn't here or something, okay.
No.
No, it was mine.
My crazy,
My crazy.
something, yeah.
Okay,
No, I try to keep it, having a group is a full-time job. It's a lot of responsibility to manage it, to promote it, and I think six artists are a good size group. It's easy to communicate, and they get, they are good friends, and it's easy to, for them to interact and manage, whatever low work or workload is the word that's coming. Having big groups sometimes could be an issue. And it took me 14, 15 years to put this group together. Imagine that. Because it's not just the quality of the work that I look for, it's the quality of the person. You know, if these are good people, they know how to, you know, they are professional, they know how to work with other artists. Those are the good requirements to be part of this. I have a lot of artists calling me and sending me emails and texts that they want to be part of the group, but I know that some of them are looking for social club, which is, these are professional artists. These people pay a lot of money to become professional artists. Pedro and Dora spent 6-7 years in the university, right? That's a lot. It's like, I mean, I don't think you see something like that here in the United States, right? For a bachelor degree, it's like 4 years. Yeah. I mean, they take art seriously over there in Peru, you know. And I know there are other countries in Latin America. They have the same educational process system. So it takes time, you know. These are the fruits, the results of that work. One of the questions that I have recently interviewed with Lois Rices, not Lois Rices, her producer and NPR. And one of the questions was, did you get inspired from, you know, inspiration from other artists in this group? No inspiration, but we get that energy that really push you to be better. You know, because our styles are different, you know, but, you know, just the energy, the camaradería, ¿cómo se dice? Camaradería, ¿cómo se dice?
Camaraderie.
Yes, I don't want to, you know, make sure that I send it. You know, but its presence is palpable. How you say palpable? Yeah, but there's a word for that. And I forgot. Huh? Palpable. Yeah. Sorry, it's the weather. It's too cold. So, you know, and people, when they see this group, the dynamic of this group, they feel the energy, they feel the how well we get along, you know. And that is the key of why we are being together for so many years. Usually, where you see groups starting in Atlanta, they don't last more than 2 years. Because the ego or the you know, other factors start coming out, then you see the division, then they just quit, you know. All this is a process that has been analyzed, studied, and I've been very careful to put together because it's not easy. I mean, we have a lot of things in common, but each person is unique by itself. We come from different backgrounds, different cultures, and something that I might say or do based on my body language could be offensive to him or to her, you know. So we have to keep in mind that. So the personal history, you know, their traumas and social class is different. So you have to keep in mind that. So it's more complex than what you think. It's not like, hey, come to join the group. No. It takes a while. People are responding well. People are sensing and feeling this. That's why we are getting more invitations and calls, and because they see the dynamic, they see the quality of the work, but also they see the human side. The human side. Sorry.
And size too.
It's a size too. What are you talking about? Okay. So, thank you again. Thank you. Appreciate it. Question? You don't know? No questions? Come on, Kate.
What I was thinking was actually the question you were saying that Lois Rights as producer asked you is if you guys were inspired magnify each other's work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to hear about the energy that you guys share. So do you guys have like meetings once a month where you meet up and you're talking about your work, or you critique each other's work, or what do you guys do?
I try to keep it simple. If we see each other every month, this group is gone. You know, so we meet twice a year. We have to understand.
Officially.
Huh?
For official
Oh,
meetings.
well, for meetings twice a year. For things like this, exhibits, of course, a little bit more. But for meetings, formal meetings that we sit and talk about future projects, ideas, other stuff for the group, twice a year. You know, sometimes in my house, sometimes in their home, or sometimes in her house. But it's good to do it because sometimes their projects and ideas that they wanted to express to improve the group and for the future of the group, and a formal meeting is a good setting for that. What was the other question? That's it.
Critique each other.
Yeah.
We critique each other. We help.
Yeah, you have to be very careful when you talk about somebody else's art. So I know the quality of their work. I don't even question anything. I mean, I know that they are going to produce work they're going to be happy with. I don't even, I want to see, no. I know that they have been doing this for 20, 30, how many years? ¿Cuántos años tienes tú pintando?
29.
29.
20? Okay, they have been doing this for 30 years. Professionally. So what is it they're going to tell them? Oh, I don't like this. No, I just can't. I'm not going to do that. And so I just trust them. And you can see, do I need to say or to do something about it? I mean, look at the quality of the work. You know.
Can I say something? Even though sometimes we have some ideas, and for example, I call Melvin and say, Melvin, I have this idea, and he said, go for it, go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Divino. So yes, we encourage each other to.
Yeah.
Yes. This is nice, or I can see something like this. Yes, but usually each of us work independently.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a lot when I think when we see a piece of art that's one of the group did and we think this one is especially good, there's a lot of encouragement into like, this is what you need to push more into this side and that kind of stuff. Or consulting each other to like, when I did this painting, putting all those jars at the bottom, which is an idea that came afterwards, but I've never done something like that, so I was really not sure, and I called Catalina, and I said, what do you think of this?
Divine.
And her answer is always, bello, do it. Which is a little scary, because she might just say, do it, and then you're like, that was not good. But it's a good chemistry, and like I said, we get together twice a year or so, but every time we do our shows and our talk, if everybody has time, or whoever has time, we end up going to eat afterwards together. So there's a lot of community happening, yeah.
To Pennsylvania, believe me, that was
Yeah,
one of the best time in my life. But sometimes we go to Florida in vacation, and it's like I said before, it's family, but it's not a dysfunctional family, it's just a crazy family.
And Carlos is a good cooker.
Well,
Yeah.
that's another thing. I have these guys spoiled because I cook for them.
We share
Yeah, the
food.
chef. You know, I love to cook, and I made, traditional Venezuelan food, but also I do make chupe, which is Peruvian soup, and other food I create myself. So I try to keep their belly full so they can be happy with me. Okay, sir.
Just one question, and maybe you've already answered it, because you're saying that Louis Rises and others are letting people know about you. And you don't need help from anybody in this room in terms of being artists. But I myself am know how a life in this field, you know, the parents were right, except that the dream and the drive was bigger than their fear. So we risk our lives toward this difficult task. But as you come to some closure, you know, you've got a room full of people who believe in you, know you, like your work. They're here because either they support this gallery and thank you for creating this kind of occasion, which is so vital. But I guess my large question is simply what would help? And that might be an individual thing where you say, well, for me, you know, what would help is if you're Tchaikovsky, no time teaching, only composing, you know, that okay. But maybe for others, it's awareness or occasions. So what would help? How, if you could partner with the world that's at Lambda or beyond, what would open what you see as the vision for this group and its future? How would we help?
Well, I think I mentioned in the beginning, it's just the support. I mean, in the beginning, when I started coming to the galleries, the first thing the director of the gallery asked was, does your community support you? Because, of course, they want to, it's a commercial gallery. How's the Venezuelan community act, you know, is the Venezuelan community coming to your exhibits, buying art? Unfortunately, I had to say no. I mean, nothing I can do about it. You try to promote art. You have to, you post the invitations. I understand why now, because the political situation in Venezuela is so bad, but back in those times, it was a little bit different. But I also understand the culture, you know. People, immigrants that come over here, they have different priorities. One of the things that are happening with the African American community now is the support. There are a lot of, how you call it, the sponsors, not sponsors, the people, patrons. It's growing. They're buying more African American art. So now you have artists that are doing extremely well within the African American community as artists. We don't have that. Our community is failing to support this. Maybe they appreciate the art, they come out, look at that beautiful painting, but they don't buy art. That's in one part. Now, in the beginning, it was a little bit rough when I presented this concept of the group, because there were places that telling me, we don't know what to do with this. We don't do this kind of show. I'm never going to do this. What, are you citizen of this country? Those are the kind of questions that I got when I sent a submission for this group. Now you have a new generation of art directors, curators that are a little bit more open-minded, understand what's happening right now. They are willing to work with this group, you know. So right now, we the last 4 or 5 years have been busy having 6, 7 exhibits in many places, in many galleries and museums. But in the beginning, it was a little bit rough. It's getting better. What we need is the support. People understand that we are not just showing here. I mean, we also need patrons. We need people, collectors, understand that it's worth spending money in art. I mean, you are willing, people usually are willing to pay $500 in a shoe or a pair of shoes than a painting. That to me doesn't make any sense.
Can I add something to that? Another thing that I think is very important is to switch the way to see art. And I know you have that already. But people usually see the pieces as part of the decoration for the house. And we are not creating art for decorate the house, to go with the sofa, to go with the curtains. We want to deliver a message. And it's very important every time that you go to a house you will see the difference between a house and a home. When you see the home, talk for yourself. So you can tell how is this family for the things that you see around that make that place special. But when you go to a home, you see things very well decorated, but you don't see the people there. You don't see the personality of the family. You see a very good decorator that you paid a lot of money to put everything very organized, but it doesn't talk about you. So I think that's very important. If we start to switch that to the community and teach them how to give value to art.
So there are so many ways that you can, support the group, but it's more about education now. We just have how you call it, a seminar at Oglethorpe. It was a seminar at Oglethorpe University, and we were talking about that. There were exhibits of famous, Shaniqua Gay. You have Shaniqua here. She sold all her paintings in the exhibition. But there was another artist that's very well known in Atlanta, Latina. She couldn't sell anything in that exhibit. So that tells you something. And they were wondering why. Well, if you go to school and you open an art book, any art book, how many pages are dedicated to Latin American art? 2 or 3. And the art book histories are this thick. And there are 2 or 3 pages dedicated to Latin American art. And what is it that you see in those pages? The same artists. You have Frida, Botero, what is the other one? Diego, and that's it. So if students are seeing that, how you want to grow that interest to appreciate Latin American art? You can. This is something unique for them, So you have to start from school. You have to change the educational system.
And if you give the people the opportunity to know the artist, for me, having a piece of a person that I know that for me is special, it is very nice to have a piece from any of them because I have a very good connection with them. So it is good to give the opportunity, the community to give the opportunity to themselves to get closer to the artist. And then when you get in love with the person, probably you will love to have one of the pieces. But if not, at least you have the opportunity to know deeper what the person was creating.
And like she mentioned before, interior designers are taking over galleries. I understand the commercial aspect of galleries. They have to make money. But they are also creating a condition to the client that this is what you need, forget about this. You want, and you see art, like it's just blank and there is 2 lines, and that painting match the color of the sofa, that's it. So how can you compete with that? It's very hard, but we have to create, things like this. Talking to people like this, having the opportunity to interact with people, then you create that curiosity. And then you start studying and say, okay, maybe we should change the way we see art now, especially within the Latin American community. And then we can see something's improving. So far, as I said, it's getting better, but it's in very slow pace. But thank you, I appreciate it. Anything?
Part of what I think we're getting a lot of opportunities showing in galleries, in art centers, in museums. But adding to what Carlos was saying, I think one of the reasons why we maybe economically don't do as well as, like you say, maybe African American communities, because our community, the Latino community, doesn't have the same resources, purchasing power of other groups, because the situations that we've lived in our countries, and even most people that come here, they're not making a ton of money, and it's not easy to spend $2,000-3,000 in a painting. And even some people that can, I think it's always hard to, and I think it happens to me, that when you say the price of something being, say, $3,000, and then you automatically think, oh, how many Cordobas is that? That's Nicaragua's money, and you're like, 100,000 Cordobas, and you're like, holy cow, you're not gonna buy that. It just seems like a crazy amount of money to spend on something that it. I don't like. It's not. I don't like to say it's not necessary, but it's not as functional as putting your money in a car or something. But I think there is value to art, not just for decorating your house. Like Katerina says, it helps you to create a place that is special for you, that speaks about you, that fills your soul, I think. We have to we need. I feel like sometimes we live in a society that wants just the things that brings us immediate satisfaction, you know, and we tend to forget those things that are important to us, that your children might see in your house, and what they're experiencing, like music and art, that is really good for us as human beings, for the society as a whole. And so I think it's important. We do it because we love it. We, for whatever reason, we landed in this business, or in this doing art, and we probably have to be like going really bad for us to stop creating art. Maybe even then we'll still do it. But if you can support us to continue, that will make our life easier, and maybe create work that is even more personal and better, because when you're creating art, you always, even if you don't want to, and you want to try to keep that away, you always have to think about selling, because you have to pay your bills no matter what. So it's always, you might choose to do this painting instead of this one because you think this one has a little more chance of selling. And that shouldn't be the way it is, but it is what it is. But I think just by going to your question, how it will help, I think by being here is very helpful, because the people that give us this opportunity will see that people respond to the exhibition, and will probably continue doing it for people, not just Latinos, but like people from other ethnic groups or people of color, for example. Yeah.
And inviting, I'm sorry, but just to round that, is inviting someone else to the exhibition. So, ¿cómo se dice? Rodando la voz.
Spreading the word.
Spreading the word is very
Yeah.
important. It is very important for us.
When is your next event?
It's a Gallery 100. That is in downtown Atlanta. It's not a commercial gallery. It's a corporate building. The place is beautiful. And the Oglethorpe University Museum. That's in March or in February?
March 1st, I think.
March 1st.
No, es
And then
la
Ogle,
gala de
then
Queen,
the
es
Gallery
en
100.
February.
I have one more, just it's a brief question for you. Because you hosted this, right? And you make decisions. I'm sorry, but I just know there's right now a lot of energy in this room, and interest and power. What could you use? What helps you? Yes, a donation, I understand, and we all understand that. But what helps you? What, like these people being here today, does that affect you when you say, I saw this many people, were they to ask me again? I saw no people, I saw 100 people. How does that work? Is it people driven? Is it the quality of the work? What helps you as you make decisions that impact these lives and then ours?
It's both. It's my job, since I'm at a nonprofit art center, I'm not sales driven. So it most of the money, if there is a sale, that's great. And most of that will go to the artist, and a small portion goes to the Hudgens. But that's kind of the nice thing about curating here is I don't have to care if we make a sale. I care in that I want it to happen for the artist to help their career and their finances. But my job is to balance what the community needs and what an artist needs, and try to find a way to support both of those things. So what is my community like? And am I showing artists that look like my community? Or am I just showing this homogenous group of artists again and again and again? Also, am I supporting the artist? Am I giving them a space? Am I, giving them what they need with it, what is within my budget? Because like you said, what do I need at a nonprofit at the end of the day? Grants and donations, because we don't make money off of sales. But that's what I want to do. My job here, I consider it, when I'm thinking about what needs to be shown here, is I think about education, people learning from the exhibits, and inspiration, finding something when they're going into a museum, whether you like art or not, something that inspires you or touches you. And then representation. Are the artists that we're showing representative of the community here in Gwinnett and Greater Atlanta? So that's what I'm thinking about when I'm doing it. So yes, I love when we have people come out to an artist talk, and that to me shows me, okay, good, people are getting to know about this artist or this art collective. But that's not what's make or break for me. Are these artists that are showing something that people can relate to, that's going to inspire people or educate people about maybe an art form they've never heard of before, or a lifestyle they've never heard of before?
That's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I feel like the Latin American community is getting a lot more word out, because I'm here from North Georgia, and they just added the Latinx in a Latin American class, and I'm taking it this semester. And my professor was like, "We're having this art exhibition over in Gwinnett area. You should go and see the actual paintings that we're learning about." So we've been learning about these, and these I've been looking all over the room at, and it's just really cool. So I'm glad to be here. I'm a little late, but I just wanted to say I feel like the Latin community and Latin artists are getting put out there more, because before this class I hadn't really learned about it, and so now I'm having the opportunity to learn about it and come and see you guys and see your work in person. So it's really cool.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it. Mr. Clemens.
Just a small point. I think that there's a dynamic that's occurring, that ought to be occurring, and I think is occurring, which is that these artists establish a plateau within the arts, within the Latino arts. You're drawn into all these paintings in a way that you can't see in just any old community gallery. People paint nice houses, they paint dogs, they paint, and it's nice work, it's attractive, it's interesting, but you are drawn into it, and the message is the art. Yes, that's true, because you're professionals, listen to wonderful work, but it's also that you have, by your existence, created a real example, a powerful example of what this community is capable of, the people that you have power in the arts that's expressed in this. And then in the number of exhibits that you're having, shows that you're beginning to make that impression. But that you have a chance, this group could be the group of the artists of this age, like the Surrealists were in the 30s, like the Impressionists were in the 20s. You have a group with a meaning that is injected into the consciousness of this country at a time when values are being challenged that affect us all. You know, you talk about immigrants. You know, immigration is a big subject here. You have a value that's being injected into that discussion by your existence. And once you can break through that ceiling to the next level of your plateau, I think it's likely that you're going to do very well. The other side of it, too, is that by your existence, you're mentoring. You're all mentors, you're teachers. You're, by your example, and by the activity that you promote, the group exhibits that you say, you know, this is a small group, but you've had an impact on a much broader group of young Latin American artists, the shows that you all put together. So I think that that's another way of looking at this. It's a dynamic, and I applaud you. I think you're moving in the right direction.
Thank
You
you.
know, it's not so cold.
We disagree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say for the young people that are here, they are thinking of becoming artists, do it. Don't hesitate. It's hard, but it's a rewarding experience. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. You can do it. I mean, there are so many jobs related to the art right now. There is a community. It doesn't have to be the Latin community, but there are communities that are going to support you. Your friends are going to support you. But don't hesitate, because that's a question that we all have before we take art classes. And I have met so many people that they took that decision in life to not study art, not to become artists, that right now they feel miserable. We have this inside for a reason. And for you to keep that inside, not to express yourself, that is against nature, basically. So just keep doing what you're doing if you are inclined to the arts. Thank you so much. Yeah? Okay.